That we mentioned earlier, it's a historic moment for Nigerian sports. The Super Falcons have done it again, and they were super excited. They have claimed a record extending 10th Women African Cup of Nations title after a thrilling 3-2 comeback victory over host Morocco.
Now everybody, including you and Ray, is now a football lover. But
I've always been a football lover. Just that.
Anyway, as Ray said, from 2 goals down at halftime to a sensational second half turnaround, the Super Falcons showed true great resilience and, of course, team spirit. And their triumph has sparked a wave of national celebrations across Nigeria, and with congratulatory messages pouring in, beginning, of course, from our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, who actually delegated 2 solid female ministers to Morocco, and you saw them, hugging Ajibade with the trophy. It was a pleasure indeed. Yeah.
And like the women, Minister of Women Affairs would say, it's women o'clock. Now, indeed, the president hosted the team yesterday and rewarding each member with national honors of OON, in addition to a 3-bedroom flat and Naira equivalent of $100,000 each. Just wondering, what am I doing being a journalist?
Don't be what?
Jealous.
Okay. No, all right. And I'm glad, because I really wanted to discuss or talk about, what happened on that pitch. Of course, that very day. We would like to take a closer look at the road to victory, the challenges they overcame, and of course the incredible achievement, what it means for the future of women's football in Nigeria. But Ere, I really would love to know, and I'm glad we have someone here who can tell us, what happened after the first half?
So many questions. Stay with us as we celebrate the Queens of African football, the unstoppable Super Falcons. We're now being joined by Chief Dr. Paul Ede Esquire. He's the chairman of Benin State Football Association and founder Niger Rattles Football Club and Benin Queens Football Club. Many thanks for joining us. Maybe you begin by answering the question that Claire, was asking. What happened after?
Don't be too fast. We have a second guest joining us via Zoom from Oshogbo in Osun State. Of course, is of course our own Oyekale, our sports analyst. Thank you very much, and we're glad to have you join us, although not in the studio this time.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so let's begin. Let's just look at, the build up to the finals, the performance. Some people actually wrote off the Super Falcons. Well, I just said that we could as well have, adopt them as Super Eagles. Let's look at the Super Falcons, the build up to that final match, the performance, and, the last football and, what it meant for everyone.
Well, first and foremost, the build up to the tournament brought a lot of symbolism, because the Nigerian Football Federation, under the able leadership of Alhaji Ibrahim Gusau, came up with the concept of Project X, meaning that Nigeria was aspiring to win the trophy for the 10th time. And with that build-up, it came with a lot of pressure for both the coaching crew, the players, and coming on the heels that we had just let go of the coach of the Super Falcons, Waldron. The Herculean task was on the shoulder of Coach Justin Madugu, who had understudied Waldron before he was let off the hook. His contract was not renewed. Coming also on the heels of the fact that the girls were not in camp early enough to begin to train. At a point, I believe Coach Justin wanted to see how he can fuse in local-based players and see how the team can have a rebuild, particularly coming from the fact that he also wants to prove a point that he has what it takes. So that actually brought a lot of pressure on the girls. And to also think that most of the African nations, particularly South Africa, who have won WAFCON just once,
we're the defending champions.
Yeah, they were the defending champions. And, you know, the pressure on them, the preparation from their end to retain the title was also very immense. Then also looking at the host nation, Morocco, that have invested tremendously in women's football and sport generally. So the pressure was heightened. And that you could see from the starting point,
Yes.
where we struggled to even play a draw at our final group stage match. Then, of course, we won 5-0. And, of course, the pressure kept mounting on. And for the finals, a lot of Nigerians didn't give the Super Falcons much opportunity. And you could hear what the president said just yesterday, that after the first 2 goals within the first half, the pressure on him was so much. So you can tell that this has a lot of implications for our president, the number 1 citizen of Nigeria, to be put under pressure by these girls. You can tell that even the girls were under immense
Not
pressure.
only put under pressure, he was he became hungry.
Hungry because the girls
hungry.
didn't allow his wife to cook for him.
Yeah, because I mean, the first lady needed to watch the match before continue with his meal. I mean, just imagine the sacrifice. But let's get to Oyekale now. Watching that tournament. Let's focus on the final. I mean, that's like the star of them all. What was the most memorable moment for you? And speak about Rasheedat Ajibade. I mean, every player in that team did great. But speak about her, because I mean, she won the most valuable player. What was it about her style, about her play that made her stand out?
I want to join millions of Nigeria to first of all still say congratulations to the Super Falcons of Nigeria, because for the 10th time, their name will now be engraved on the trophy as the greatest country on the continent of Africa, talking about female football. Now, back to your question, Rasheedat Ajibade. When we went 2 goals down, it was not as a result of bad play or maybe Morocco played better than Nigeria, but rather just 2 moments of carelessness, 2 moments of loss of concentration, which really let them down, and Morocco took their chances. And before you know it, we were 2 goals down. But one thing that Ajibade did was that she never dropped her head. The spirit was still high. And that is the leadership you expect from a captain. A captain and a leader of a team will always rally the team that, no, we can do it. We can do it. Remember, Nigeria had done it before in Saudi 89. After going 4 goals down, they came back and they won that match against USSR at the World Cup. Remember Atlanta 96, when the almighty Brazil went 3-1 up against Nigeria. Nigeria came back and won that match. So that spirit was in them. And before you know it, in the second half, the fight started and we got that well-deserved penalty that was converted against all odds with distraction, because Nigeria was not just playing against 11 players, but they were playing against the crowd and against those distractions with laser lights on their eyes and everything. But Nigerians were focused. Okoroko converted that penalty kick. And from there, I told those with me, even before we scored the first goal, that Nigeria is coming back. And before you know it, the equalizing goal came and the pressure returned to Morocco. And of course, the winning goal. And from there, you know that, yes, it is Nigeria all the way. When NFF call it Mission X, I call it La Decima. That's the 10th. Because it was expected. You mean a competition that has been organized 13 times and his country is winning it 10 times, you should know that that country deserves the best. And it was really a good one. Rashida showed that, bringing that leadership ability. And before the final, she has won the Woman of the Match 3 times. That attests to her superiority in the field of play, that she was really a gem to really watch. Right from after she was promoted from the under-17 team to the main team, she has never shown any sign of abating. I think the last time we played Morocco, where we were eliminated in the semi-final, Morocco were lucky because she was red-carded. Had it been the red card was not there, Nigeria would have come back. But this time around, it was a point to prove. It was a revenge time, and the revenge was complete. Not only complete, but in a very, very sweet way, and Nigeria danced away in euphoria. It was really great for Nigeria.
Oyakale, let me ask you before we come back to the studio again. You know, I was listening to the commentaries, and you know, statements like, "Oh, the Morocco." In fact, some people already gave victory to Morocco after 2 goals, you know, up, and people were wondering why Azizat, you know, was on the bench. I'm wondering, what do you think happened in the restroom, or what do you call it? Yes.
Well, I am not the coach, so I will have. I wouldn't have the facts about why Azizat was on the bench. But you saw when she came in, I think that fear factor that Agbabola was on the pitch, that fear factor, that fever got into the defense line of the Moroccans. But you wouldn't know why she was on the bench. It could be as a result of a knock or of injury or technical or tactical reason. That was why she was kept on the bench. But as Nigerians, we expect to see the 6th-time African footballer of the year. As a matter of fact, the greatest female footballer from Africa sitting on the bench. And when she stepped into the field, I think she brought in that urea. She brought in that excitement, that urgency that Nigeria needed. And alas, it came with a result, and Nigeria won. Though she did not score, but her runs off and on the ball really brought in some life and confidence into the team.
Some people said it was the substitution. You know, I mean, the subs that came in, and maybe a little caution, you know, from the coach, you know, during halftime rest. What do you think might have happened? Because when the girls came back, it was a different game in terms of ball possession and shots on target.
You know, the beauty of football is like journalism. Coming into the studio this morning, I didn't know the questions to expect.
It's not like journalism in reward.
But of course, your reward is also there. The fact that you could tell and extend the story of these girls is a great reward. For me, I believe that the reward in journalism spans beyond the monetary value, even though naturally you should expect money. But the point I'm trying to make is that coming into the studio this morning, I wasn't expectant on the kind of questions that you were going to ask. But you had to believe that if I come here, I'll be able to respond to those questions that you would ask. It's the same with football. When you play against a team that is coming to the playing field with a particular strategy that you are not preempted on, you need to think on your feet. And that's why you see that all through the finals, the coach never sat down once. He kept communicating with his backroom staff. He kept communicating with the players. Of course, the level of communications is different. And I believe that the coach must have noticed the few lapses he had with regards to the strategy that was implemented by the Moroccan team. And that showed how the game evolved and how he continued to transit from one level to the other. I also believe that the fact that Azizat, who is like he described, Agbabola, was on the bench is because the pace of the game required that you also field players, because when a coach selects his team, he looks at whose strength will be able to match the energy of the opponent, the strategy of the opponent. And I believe that for this particular tournament, some of the players he had could give him what
the result that he wanted.
The result that he wanted.
Now, talking about this particular team and the 10th title, this 10th title is really loud, and many thanks to the president for making it louder. Before now, I mean, the Super Falcons have been winning titles, the first, the second, third, seventh. I mean, many Nigerians, many people were not really interested. And then the kind of support that we're seeing now wasn't really there. What do you think this particular title would do to women's football, or let's say football in general in Nigeria?
Well, first, it shows that football has come of age, particularly women's football. I give you a bit of background about me. When I forayed into football development, the area I chose was a road that is least traveled, which is women's football. And people ask the question, why not get into the male football? You sell a player, you can make up to $1 million, $20 million. And I said to them, for me, football is about looking at promoting the girl child, because a lot of girls today who would have been stars playing in Morocco and getting the kind of reward that we have today could not, because it is believed that football is the men's game. Many parents don't allow their children to play football because they believe that the transition of a woman's physique, who most people, most African mothers feel that a woman should grow up, get married, grow their children, have children, and all that. What the president has done is to show that, look, every mother, every father should be able to give their children, their female children, the opportunity to be able to play football or any sport, as the case may be. And I also believe that this 10th title had wider implication. One, to the president. It's kudos to the president. It has shown that he is a sports-loving president, because what a lot of presidents before him could not do, he has been able to do. Returning the Ministry of Sports to the Sports Commission and appointing technocrats to head those institutions. For me, it shows that he believes that sports is a panacea for youth development, and that happens to be one of the critical agendas that Mr. President has sought to sell in his renewed hope agenda. And I also believe that the hope of these young ones have truly been renewed. The hope of the coaches have been renewed. The hope for women's football in Nigeria has been renewed. And a lot of people might also tend to think, the president is doling out $100,000, calculating what $100,000 can do. Nigerians will have a way of spending money for people. If he had carried this $10,000 and maybe built one stadium and all that, that is not the message the president is trying to send.
I hope you did. I wish you didn't talk on this now, because I was going to ask you. We talked about it earlier on, but please hold this thought on the president's largesse, splash on the Super Falcons, because I'd like to bring in Oyakale into our conversation. You touched on the earlier on when you were responding to our questions on the position of the coach. Found himself. He had to take over from a foreign coach. Here is Coach Madugu, who is a Nigerian, someone you will call a local coach, where people have been clamoring for an indigenous coach, for football teams or for any sports team like that. Here is this man who took over at a critical dying minute in the stage of the tournament, injected he did not rely on the professional players. He also injected even street players, and he delivered. Oyekale, what do you think about this? And does this send a message to even the NFA and NFF and all the football stakeholders about the potential in an indigenous coach?
Well, before now, we cannot expect less from any coach coaching the female team, because both the indigenous coach, the foreign coach, or any coach, even the female, that was the former Super Falcons player that have anchored the team, have all won the WAFCON for Nigeria. But where it is different for this coach was that he took over at the 11th minute. It was looking sudden for him. He wasn't really expecting it because issue with Waldrum and stuff like that. So the baton of leadership suddenly fell on him. But he never disappointed Nigeria. He was bold to select his team, because for you to leave out a player like a Gift Monday, a player that could even be the captain of some other national team in Africa. So he selected his team, he had his own team, and he played his own style, which really made it. And remember, in years past, Nigeria looked so dominant because we were bullish in women football in Africa. But these days, other African countries are measuring up with Nigeria, especially talk about Morocco. Put the distraction and the controversy aside. They have been deliberate in developing their football for the last 10 years. They were deliberate to develop their football, and it has shown in even their football, their league, and everything. Same with the likes of South Africa. Unfortunately, in our own domestic league, you cannot say the same, but we have to rely on the individual brilliance of these ladies, and also those that are applying their trade abroad. And we're even lucky to have ladies of Nigerian descent that were born abroad that decide to really represent their fatherland. And you see, talking about the reward system is part of what could encourage all these ladies to participate. So kudos must go to the coach for looking both inward and outside to really, get the best for Nigeria, because selection should always be based on merit, not on favoritism or nepotism, but rather you select the best based on merit and form. That is how you select football players. Merit, form.
Oyekale, we have some messages. This one says, congratulations to Nigeria and Nigerians. Congratulations to our great female heroes, the Super Falcons. I'm sure Claire has some more messages. She'll sure take them. But you see, I'm thinking of something. I'm thinking what prayers... sorry I'm asking this question, but I have to ask because, a lot of people have said that it was the god of football that saved the Super Falcons. And speak to us about your faith, really. This would be a motivation for every other person, whether you're playing football or not. The odds could be against you. I think that it was the faith of the girls. And, like one of the players had a band on her hand that read about Jesus is King and all. And then you could see that, they had a superior belief in something, right? That, they could do great on the field of play. How did that help in them winning this tournament? That's one. Then two, government. Because we know that the president paid all their entitlements even before the final match. Did that in any way do some magic? To their minds, like, Nigerians are behind us. If we're getting all our entitlements even before we're done with this tournament, then it means that we have to give them back something, which is bringing back the trophy. Speak about that.
Well, football is also a game of motivation. It's a game of hope. It's a game of an expectation. And, you know, before the commencement of any tournament, the rules are set. The prize money is, of course, an expectation that every nation participating in the WAFCON expects at the end of the day. For me, I believe that in Nigeria, we have a very religious nation. We believe in God immensely in whatever we do. Even when you listen to the First Lady yesterday, you heard her praying for the team in the name of Jesus. You heard the President also praying for the team. And for someone who has known Ajibade for many years, she is a born-again Christian. She doesn't hide it. And in the field of play, even the shirt she was wearing inside of her jersey read Jesus. I'm sure if you saw her, she pulled it off at the point and you could see Jesus. So it is with other players. Azizat Oshola, for instance, is a Muslim, and she prays and believes in God. I know some of the key players in that particular team that believes that God, it takes only God to gain victory. And I think that added to their motivation. Then second of all, you also look at the fact that the girls went there with a lot of hope that Nigerians expect them to bring back this trophy after the 10th edition. If you were at the airport yesterday to receive them, you will see that the SGF was there, the Minister of Aviation was there, the former Minister for Sports, Phyllis Schreiber. All of them were on ground to receive them. And of course, the assurance that the nation will celebrate them.
Okay,
the president.
Sorry, I have to cut you so that we can get the final thoughts from Oyekale. Oyekale, please talk to us about the largesse, splashed on the Super Falcons by Mr. President. And by the way, I'm yet to see a First Lady who has given so much support and, who is so much in love with promoting female sports as our First Lady. So we must also thank our First Lady for always standing by women in sports and anything women. She's always there. You see her beaming with smiles. But some people have said that, look, 150 million for each, OON, national honors, 3-bedroom flats. Is that too much?
A worker deserves his or her wages. These girls have really done well, and they deserve far, far more. Well, maybe if they have not been celebrated or well celebrated in the past, does not mean they should not be celebrated now. There was a time when Nigerian wins, it would just be a presidential handshake, and it will be counted as an honor for you to have the presidential handshake. But this time around, it is a windfall of largesse. And you see, the reward system play a lot of role in sports. You see some athletes trying to defect to other countries. That is because they felt that they are not being well taken care of. If we have good reward system, note that sports in the world now is an industry of its own, and it's actually a very big industry. And football is one of the driving force in the industry of sports. And if investment is well made, I think they are revenue generating for themselves. So there is no amount that is too much when you reward athletes for good work, for doing good work, because that will encourage them to actually do more. They can go with this heart to the World Cup and win the World Cup. You understand? So the reward system is really much, and the Super Falcons have really come a long way. Many people are even talking about the 10th title, but actually the history dates back to 1991 of this competition. That was where it started, when Africa was to qualify for the World Cup in 1991, which Nigeria won. The second edition was in 1995 again, which Nigeria won, before it was now organized as a tournament in 1998 to qualify for the World Cup in 1999.
Many thanks, Jacob Oyekale. It's not too much. I agree with your thoughts on that. Dr. Eddie, your final thoughts in 30 seconds about the reward.
My final thought is that Nigeria, we must begin to take women's football seriously, develop the game at the grassroots level, invest more, enough playing tough. The state government should pick from where the president has done, and thankfully the Governors Forum has spoken by also rewarding the girls. And I think that each of the states of the federation should be able to give more to women's football.
All right, you said you have a female football team, right? So Claire and I are enlisting. So after this program, you tell us all that we need to do so that we can go on the field of play.
Don't try me. Don't try me. You don't know what I'm capable of doing.
Many thanks, Chief Dr. Paul Edie-Esquire, Chairman, Benin State Football Association and founder, Nigeria Rattles Football Club and Benin Queens Football Club. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. So you have new, members in your team.
Yes, and I am the new Okoronkwo. All right.
And of course, from Oshogbo, we had JJ Oyekale, sports analyst. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being our guest.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right. So that's it on Good Morning Nigeria this Tuesday. I'm Ian Radio, live locked on the NTA.
And I'm Claire Okoronkwo Adelabu Abdulrazak. Bye-bye.